So an opportunity for Tobius Webb in the black trunks to make a bit of a name for himself here against Stefan Heartel, the Berliner, who was a 2012 Olympian and who is being developed slowly but steadily by his German promoters. He's had 8 fights, won them all, doesn't seem to possess an awful lot of power. He has no stoppages whatsoever, but brings a very impressive amateur pedigree to the ring. And they see Webb as not only Hartel's biggest test so far, but also they see him as sort of low-end gatekeeper. So it's up to Tobius Webb, I think, just to go out and show no, he's still got plenty of fight in him. And he certainly made a statement with his ring entrance straight out of Compton. I guess, Tony, they didn't have straight out of Swansea.
It was a good one, to be honest, Nick. It's very, very different, and in a place like Germany where they don't really understand the music too much, it seems to have gone down quite well for him. Stefan here seems to have, you know, just started slowly, basically behind the jab and looking to counterpunch Tobius Webb here.
He's very capable and competent. You just wonder how far he can go with that amateur style and the fact that he doesn't carry much of a dig at all. Picking some very nice shots here. I mean, just to give you an indication, obviously went to the Olympics, lost to Anthony Ogogo in his first round, but he holds wins over Callum Smith and Anthony Fowler, to name but 2 in the amateur game.
To win in a place like this here, to definitely going to have to put pressure on Stefan Heartel and maybe, you know, really be rough and ready in these rounds, because you cannot go away from home to somewhere like Germany and expect to grind out a points win by basically just trading jabs with the guy. He's going to have to put pressure on him, push him back, and really show he's the boss in this fight.
Not on the best run of form. Tobias lost 3 of his last 5 in decent company. There was the Callum Smith affair in May 2014 where he boxed beautifully in the opening round, won it, and then felt the body shots in round 2, and that was the end of that. He lost on points to Liam Cameron, and then most recently last December, good little tear-up against the Scotsman David Brophy, another very impressive looking prospect. That was for a Commonwealth eliminator. Won some rounds in that fight, but it was Brophy who prevailed. He doesn't need another defeat here. He needs something that will kickstart his career.
Tobias has definitely been in with the better fighters, Nick, as I say, Callum Smith, and you know, really, really good high-level guys. You know, his loss to Callum Smith was not too much of a shock for, you know, the people really watching. I think the manner of the defeat was a shock to most. As I say, he had that good first round, but Callum, as composed and as good as he is, came out and dealt with Tobias Webb quite handily. I think here, when we're seeing with Tobias going on the back foot, he really, really has to start stepping forward and putting the pressure on Heartel, because Heartel, if he's allowed to do this, he will maintain this pace all night long and will just continue to box at this pace.
Round 2 then of this 8-round affair. Stefan Heartel in the white, the unbeaten Berliner, 28 years old, relatively late, against Tobias Webb, who is 27, vastly more experienced, but Webb did not manage to stamp that experience on the opening session, and will need to do something about that jab in the first instance, trying to work his own jab there. Struggling with the range. Heartel very solid defensively, good movement.
The amateur pedigree will allow Heartel, even though Tobias Webb has more experience in a professional ring, Heartel will know an awful lot more when it comes to ring generalship skills, because of the vast amateur experience and the various opponents that he's fought. He's had some fantastic wins as an amateur, going right the way back through European Championships, World Championships, Nick, and you know, you can see here his ring generalship far exceeds his actual record of eight professional fights.
Just seeing here, just look at the guard of Heartel, how he counters. You mentioned that earlier, just a nice little counter right hand there from Heartel, but Webb's having trouble just landing anything clean because of Hartel's sound defense, good reflexes, upper body movement.
Heartel's judgment of distance is causing Tobias Webb many problems here, and he can't seem to land the jab, and the jab for Tobias is a major weapon because it allows him to get the power shots off after the jab. Heartel is just very, very short little 6-inch steps in and then back out, then in and back out, and like I say, so you can see the range here. Tobias is really, really struggling even to land the jabs.
Just So well out of range there, and again looked to land the left hook. Heartel was nowhere to be seen, and again sharp, fast counter work from the German.
Heartel is the perfect punch pick. He reminds me so much of the 4-2 amateurs, the 4-2-minute amateur guys who used to really be on the toes, in and out, very sharp and precise. And if you see all these punches are missing, and they just miss by the very shortest of margins, and Tobias is going to become actually more and more frustrated and probably leave himself more open for Stefan Heartel's, you know, more powerful counters as this fight goes on.
It's a bit better. Got a solid left hand there. And then a left hook to the body from Webb. He's picking a couple of punches here, the Welshman. And again, just getting picked off with that jab of Heartel, which is a real nuisance. And in contrast, the jab of Webb falling short. Got out of the way of that Heartel jab, though. I mean, it's certainly not a one-sided affair, but you know, as you say, he's on the road here, Webb. 3 German judges as well, and there's nothing that we're seeing in these opening 2 rounds to suggest that he's doing anything to even get a share of the spoils. He's not in trouble, but he's not winning anything.
That was the first lunging kind of swing that I've seen Heartel throw missed by you know, a country mile there, but you know, it'd be very rare we see someone of his kind of caliber do that again.
Round 3 then of this 8-rounder. Carl Ince, who's working the corner for Tobias Webb, just taking his time to get out of the ring. And now we can continue. Carl there was asking for a bit more use of the left hook from Tobias Webb. Interesting to see Carl here, because he's worked with Gary Lockett in the past in Cardiff, and he's also worked with Swansea trainer Chris Ware. Currently with Carl Ince.
Big thing here for Tobias now. He has to get the feet closer and go the body first and foremost. Stefan Heartel is going to keep using this judgment of distance, the short little step in and step out, and that's what's doing all the damage really to any work that Tobias Webb can put together at the moment.
It's not a style, Stefan Heartel, that will win him an awful lot of friends, but as we know in Germany, a crowd in Germany is different in their expectations. As long as they see their guy win, they seem happy. They don't need to be on the edge of their seats or jumping out of their chairs. They like to see the win.
They do, Nick. I'm where you say he's not going to gain an awful lot of fans, but he will gain an awful lot of wins with this style. And, you know, like we spoke about off here, we expected this fight to... I didn't expect quite the chess match. I thought Tobias Webb would go all out and put us on Heartel, knowing that he's a light puncher of a boxer, and basically he depends an awful lot on his technical skill and ability to win fights. You cannot box the boxer, and this is exactly what Tobias Webb is doing here. He's trying to outbox a far better boxer than himself.
Busier here in this round, though.
He is, which is good to see, because like I say, he's never going to be able to eke out a decision here in Germany. We've seen guys go to Germany at times and dominate fights and still leave without really winning a round. So here, you know, you're going to need maybe even multiple knockdowns. You know, it's going to be tough, but he knows what he signed up for when he got into this. He really does, Nick.
Yeah, they didn't bring him in to cause the upset, that's for sure. They're making a pretty decent effort in this 3rd round.
I feel Heartel's maybe taking this round off. You know, he's not really dedicating himself to anything or really putting his pedals to the metal. I definitely believe that he's got so much more in the tank. I think it's going to take a fighter to really pressure him to pull it out of him. Heartel's going to be that kind of fighter where he'll always just do enough and he'll fight to the opponent's level. I think as his career goes on, I think we will see him in better fights, but it's going to take better opponents to get them better fights out of him.
Got the jab through there, Heartel, but he's missed with a lot, and Webber's made him miss a lot in this round. He's also thrown some decent body shots. There's definitely a case. Decent left hook there from Heartel.
Also a good counter right hand there from Tobias. Like I say, he's just a little bit more pressure forward, and you know, I definitely think, you know, he could have a case for winning that round maybe.
Round 4 of this 8-rounder, Berlin, Stefan Heartel in the white against Swansea's Tobius Webb. Decent last round for Webb. Gave him the round on mud. Whether the judges would agree with that is entirely another matter. But going back to Heartel and what you were saying about him, that his style won't win an awful lot of plaudits, but it'll win him a lot of fights in the super middleweight division. At what point will his lack of power become a bit of an obstacle for him?
It will probably become apparent when he steps up a level to maybe international level, Nick, or somewhere around European mark. You will find there that the guys at European level carry a punch, and they've got something to keep you off with. Heartel is definitely going to struggle when he gets to that level. I mean, we could look at guys at European level right now, and at super middleweight, you know, Callum Smith is the obvious one to look at and some stuff like that. I think Callum is, you know, taking away the world champions in the division, is probably the best super middleweight in Europe. And that's, you see what Callum done to Tobias Webb, and that's the kind of the level that you'd expect, and I don't think Heartel is quite at that level.
Clever little counter with the right hand. He's very good at seeing these punches, especially those right hands that he does load up a little bit with Webb.
Tobias, you can see now he is trying to get forward, and he is moving the head and getting the feet a bit closer. Good right hand there, landed counter, but you know, the left to the body straight a tiny bit low. He is trying though, Nick. You can see he's going on the front foot, he's moving the head a little bit more, but he just, not enough is getting through for me.
Yeah, clever little left hook to the body from Heartel. He's certainly making Heartel work. I mean, if the idea was to get a step up for the Berliner, they've certainly got that here. I saw one of his earlier career fights, and it was a pretty routine, comprehensive victory for him against a guy who got thrown out in the end, Leo Chula, who fell foul of the referee for something that couldn't work out what exactly had happened. That was in Kiel, in the Paul Smith Abraham 1 undercard.
At this moment in time, his record basically reads the same as an awful lot of other prospects, especially German prospects, would read. You know, the same foes on the record, and you know, your Fedotovs are on there, and people like that nature. So he is yet to be stepped up, but you know, like I say, it's early days. The only thing I would say is he has a vast amateur pedigree, and should maybe be taken a tad faster, and maybe after this fight we could possibly see him, you know, him and someone like, it's hard because the level of super middleweights, you know, I'll watch how Callum Smith rose really quickly, Rocky Field and rose, and you have got to be careful matching these guys.
So round 5 of this 8-rounder at super middleweight, and Tobias Webb, the Swansea man in the black, having been told he's boxing beautifully, was also told by Carl Ince, his trainer, go out and believe in yourself. And that's a big thing to do. You're up against the prospect, the local guy in his backyard. You've been brought in to come second, but he's giving himself a chance here.
He's competing, Nick, and he's not looking like he doesn't belong in there. He is showing signs of, you know, making Heartel fight a little bit more. I think, let's say, the next thing is now, you know, no more backward steps, and let's really put the pressure on. Let's just see if Heartel can deal with a few heavy power punching, you know, go the body a little bit more. Maybe be rough on the inside, maybe not let him easily get away with, you know, just skirting away and throwing simple basic jabs. Let's force the pace, get a little bit rough on the inside, and see what Heartel's made of.
And another small step up tonight for Heartel, who's boxed only 6-rounders up to now. He'll have to go 8 here. Be interesting to see if Webb could take him into deep waters in those later rounds. But it's just little bursts, isn't it, from Heartel? And when he does one of those little bursts, they tend to be effective punches that land.
There's no weight in them, Nick, and this is why they seem to land, whereas Tobias seems to be loading that right hand a little bit, and you see Heartel is just short, sharp, 2 punches quickly, and they land all the time. And Tobias is looking for the heavy and powerful shots, but they are much easier to read, especially for someone of Heartel's caliber.
reminiscent of the British welterweight title fight we saw last week, where Sam Eggington was the guy looking to land the power and struggling to connect cleanly, while Bradley Skeet was just comfortable flicking out that jab, picking up the rounds, nicking them, as Eggington was saying afterwards.
He just counter-punched his way through it, Nick, and you know, he took his time, thought about his plan, and he followed it very diligently, and you know, Bradley Skeet should be applauded for that. It's a little bit similar here with Heartel, but the only difference is Webb isn't putting on anywhere near the same amount of pressure that Eggington was putting on Skeet.
Through with the body shot, couldn't follow up with the uppercut.
You'd also have to wonder how much notice has Tobias Webb had for this, Nick.
Yeah.
And that's always the case when guys are coming in as with the journeyman kind of tag. It's not very often that they're given more than a week, 10 days, 2 weeks at the very most notice. So it'd be interesting to know how much notice Tobias Webb has had for this fight.
Yeah, he's not had a 10-week camp, has he?
That's the one, and they're never going to get it, Nick. Let's be honest. This is why guys that are in Tobias Webb's place, that's why they get the short notice as they do.
Wenn du locker bleibst, dann geht das auch. Und immer wieder aktiv werden. Ja, aufpassen, nach jeder Hand schlägt nochmal gehen. Vielleicht mal nach dem Auberzacken zum Beispiel nochmal einen linken Seitwärtszacken oder als dritte Hand oben abschließen.
Well, I think the smile to his trainer in the corner there said it all as far as Stefan Heartel is concerned. He's comfortable. He's got this where he wants it.
He really has, but like I say, as he goes up through the rankings and gets to a higher level of opponent, this non-power with the punching, it's definitely going to show, Nick. It really, really will. I mean, you can be the nicest boxers you want, but you have to get the respect of your opponent in fights to keep them off.
And it's not like he's going to break you down with volume. You know, you see a lot of guys that don't have a big punch. James McDonald springs to mind. It just keeps going, and there's always punches coming, and eventually he just breaks you down. This guy can't do that.
Exactly, spot on, Nick.
Round 6 then. For what it's worth, I've got Heartel 3-2 up. Certainly given Tobias a couple of the rounds. They were close.
I'd have a Heartel 5. You know, I would have a 5-1. It's just the thing, sorry, 4-1. Going forward, it's hard to give Tobias Webb because I understand how the German guys are going to be scoring it. From a personal point of view, yes, I can give Tobias Webb a couple of rounds, but knowing how the judges will score it over there,
yeah,
it's just not going to be the way it is.
But then again, that was always going to be academic. If this one goes to the final bell, Tobias is not getting the decision. And quite frankly, he doesn't deserve it at this point either.
No, he doesn't deserve it. And like I say, he knew what he gets when you sign up to these kind of fights, and it's always going to be hard. But once again, you know, you can't let Heartel dictate the pace. He hasn't really been taken out of his comfort zone at all, and he definitely hasn't landed. You know, these body shots are really good from Tobias Webb, and that's what he needs a lot more of while pressing forward. He doesn't need to fight at Heartel's pace. He's got to force the pace now.
Watch it.
Yeah, it's the big punches that Tobias has had trouble with. Obviously, Callum Smith, and was that prize fighter back in 2011 with the Rocky fielding night, and Rocky just blitzed through everybody. They're the guys that have taken him out early.
I always remember the prize fighter because he was the guy who got the really, really tough draw, and when it got to the final, he just had absolutely nothing left. I mean, he went in with Robin Reed, I think, who would have been the favourite on paper at the start of it, and then he had an absolute war with Jermaine Smile, and then he got Rocky at the end and then got stopped really quick. So he went into prize fighter unbeaten also, I think, too, and like I say, it's been a hard road for Tobias because he hasn't had the prospect tag with him, and he hasn't been given easy fights. There's been late notice at times, and always the underdog in most of the fights he goes into.
Yeah, he had to go up to Scotland in December and box David Brophy, who's just bubbling under on the fringes of the championship scene. That was in a Commonwealth eliminator. That really was a stepping stone fight for both of them. Who could win that one would have a chance to advance, and it was a decent fight. And yeah, I think the scorecard reflected that, 97-93 in favour of Brophy.
David Brophy, another footballer going to the boxing.
Yeah.
It seems. I would kind of wish that there'd be more boxers going to the football, to be quite honest, Nick.
Yeah, a broken leg did for him on Dundee United's books.
following in the footsteps of the great Curtis Woodhouse, and also now, you know, Leon McKenzie, who's also in this division.
And who could certainly bang.
Yes, can really punch, making an awful lot of noise, and Leon is showing the way forward for them guys.
Abschalten, das ist das Wichtigste da oben. Ne? Und bleib locker, machst du doch gut. Ja, und immer wieder mal eine dritte Hand hinterher, das fehlt mir. Ja? Schön rechts rüber. Aber nicht erzwingen wollen. Du stehst da und wartest, und das merkt man dann. Mach es mit links, bereit das Ohr, und dann kommt es aus dem lockeren Boxer raus. Ja? Tief durchatmen.
Yeah, that jab. Right cross following there, but jab has just been a very, very useful weapon throughout this fight for Heartel.
Like I say, Nick, it's been, I know it sounds a bit repetitive, but it's just the judgment of distance, and it's perfect for Heartel, and he'll continue to do this as long as he possibly wants.
Round 7 then, for what it's worth. This is new territory for Stefan Heartel, the Berliner in the white trunks. Never been scheduled beyond 6 so far, but nothing in the first 6 rounds of this one to suggest he's blowing hard and really feeling the strain of a tough fight here. So he should be able to jog his way through these last couple of rounds. Got a decent lead on the cards, you would think. May even won every round as far as the judges are concerned. And never really out of his comfort zone.
Boxing at his own pace, Nick, and boxing well, to be fair. Like I say, Tobias Webb is not of the journeyman who comes to, of the ilk of the journeyman who comes to lose. He's more of the guy who comes to win, but just isn't good enough at this kind of level to win. But, you know, he's putting up a good fight here, and Heartel hasn't had it all his own way, but, you know, he's doing enough.
I think you used the word earlier. You know, you said it's sorry to be repetitive, but kind of comes with the turf when you're looking at a Stefan Heartel fight. There's nothing different about him. You'll see this in round 1, you'll see it in round 8, and you'll have seen it in every fight that's led up to this one. This is his style.
That's the way it goes, and like I say, when he steps up through the levels, there will be fighters who will adapt and adjust, and they're the guys who he's going to struggle with. He really is, because you cannot just continue to go through the motions all the time and expect to keep winning rounds. It just doesn't work as you step up to the levels.
It was a decent little from Webb, who's certainly trying to put the heat on here in this 7th round. Landed a combination of the body, then went upstairs. All 4 punches scored and landed.
This seems to be a kind of a last hurrah here from Webb, and he's pressing forward, throwing good combinations, and a few have got through. I think this is his best round of the fight so far now.
Yeah, and did you see the referee just pulled him up as well? I was like, yeah, okay, hang on.
That's enough.
Went for the home run there with the right hand, didn't he?
Just slightly off once again with the distance. Stefan is maybe cruising this round. It's not shocking to see, but what it shows me is the level that he's at, and he's been used to it as an amateur. When professionals first go pro, you really don't want to actually even lose a round, new professionals, but he's vastly experienced, and he doesn't mind just giving a round away. Whereas, like, you know, when guys are new to the game and they haven't been professional long, they really don't even want to lose a single round. And Heartel seems a lot more experienced than his actual record suggests. So, like I say, that's purely down to the amateur experience and going around the world, various tournaments, and also fighting over the 3-minute rounds, which he will have been used to now for quite a few years.
Again, this 7th round has been a round where Webb has certainly had his moments. Whether enough of those moments to catch the eye of the judges, that's another matter. But a rare swing and a miss there from Heartel right on the bell.
I think, Nick, that's the first round I can definitely 100% say he will have won on maybe all them scorecards at ringside there.
You got to fucking hurt him. You got to be the boss this round. He's going to lose the fight. Yeah. You're honest, Toby. You got to give out. You got to fucking throw him 2 and 1s. He didn't throw 1 Susie in that round. He's there for it, mate. Yeah. He's tired. Yeah. Right. Last round. Thank you, ref. Thank you. Okay. Listen. Yeah. Do you want this? Yeah. Yeah. Come on then. Let's do it then. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Not coming all this way to get beat, mate. Yeah. You step it up, you can beat this lad. You catch him with some good shots, you can hit him.
Alles geben, alles.
Come on, let's work, yeah?
Letzte Runde.
Come on, son. Yeah, don't stand there. Give everything you've got. Stand still, stand still.
The 8th and last round then of this super middleweight affair, which has been entertaining enough. Stefan Heartel, the prospect in the white trunks, up against Swansea's Tobius Webb. Webb has certainly had his moments and got the riot act read to him there by Carl Ince's trainer. Said, let's go for it. He said, you hurt him in that last round. And I thought he did have a good 7th round as well, Webb.
I thought he did, Nick. He had the best round of the fight so far for him. Once again here, I think Hartel's going to use the experience to maybe just, you know, come away from the punches and not get involved too much. Webb really has to stay now on top, punch when he's up close, and not really give Heartel any kind of respite.
Heartel didn't want anything to do with that, did he? Well, I know you disagree with me. One of those rounds was very, very tight, I agree, but I've got this 4-3 in favour of Heartel. If Webb can come and do something, there's a case for a draw. He's not going to get it, but there is a case for a draw.
That's the big part, Nick. I mean, I do think it's closer than the actual card suggests, but once again, I always go by how they're going to actually
The reality.
Score. Yes,
yeah.
the reality. And I know the fairy tale for Tobias Webb is that he gets his hand raised here because he's been the guy who's made the fight. He's walked forward as much as possible, and he's made the fight of it. But ultimately, you know, we know how it goes in Germany, and that's just not the way it is.
Certainly not been outclassed tonight, Tobias Webb. He's asked questions, he's forced the pace, he's continuing to do that here. And certainly, you know, I said he probably wouldn't struggle in these last couple of rounds, but he's not looked his best since going into 7 and 8, Heartel.
It's new territory for him, Nick, and he's got to, you know, get used to these longer fights and also an opponent coming at him to win, because I don't think he's experienced that so far in his career. This probably tonight's the toughest test of his career on paper.
No question.
And it's showing. It's showing here because Tobias, like I said, is coming to win. And Heartel, I think he will have expected that, but he won't have expected it at this stage in the fight. He will have expected this kind of pace early on, maybe not so late on in the fight.
Nice job defensively there from Webb, making Heartel miss.
Tobias really needs to put the foot down here and really press forward. Listen to what his trainer, you know, said in the corner there in between rounds. He really, it's all or nothing now, because he knows he's not going to get this decision. He really has to go, you know, all out and try and go for the knockout victory. Good body shot there by Heartel. He definitely felt that, Tobias Webb, because he went from orthodox to southpaw and just, you know, came away from any kind of more confrontation with Heartel.
And isn't this typical of so many German fighters that we've seen? Their clocks gets down to 30 seconds, they come alive, don't they? He's done that here. And he, for me, has won that fight, and I'm sure for you, Tony, and certainly the 3 judges at ringside.
Yes, I agree. Nick seems to be shaking his right hand there like he'd hurt the right hand also. Going back to what you said there, I think it was absolutely spot on when the 30-second clock goes off. I prefer to call it the Arthur Abraham clock. It's the time that he works when it comes to fights. It's reminiscent of all the gym fighters. The last 30 seconds, big hurrah. Webb here, he's put up a good showing, and he's done what he was supposed to do. Come here, test Stefan Heartel, but not do it enough to beat him.
Yeah. I've got it 5-3. I would have no complaints at 6-2 in rounds. But we'll have to see how the judges see it. I think an 80-72 would be pretty harsh on Tobias Webb. He's put a pretty decent account of himself out again, as he always does.
I agree. I think you always look at a fighter's face at the end of a fight, and Tobias Webb has the face of a guy who knows he's lost tonight.
Stefan Heartel, the body language of a man who knows his arm is going to be raised any moment now, and rightly so. Well, that's fight number 9 for Stefan Heartel. They won't rush him into higher class just yet, but this was a step up for him against the very useful Tobias Webb, and it looks like he's passed that test. Didn't look his best in those last couple of rounds, but had certainly done more than enough. And good to see the spirit between the two of them as we just wait for the official announcement. which is taking a little bit longer than we were expecting. I think the referee was ready and the boxers were certainly ready. Maybe they're having a recount.
Meine Damen und Herren, wir kommen zur Urteilsverkündung. Mit 3:0 Punktrichterstelle. Unanimous Decision und damit Sieger. Der Kämpfer in der blauen Ecke aus Berlin, Stefan Heartel.